Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Rhonda.
Some feedback here. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep. I don't know why it's feedback. Let me see.
Is it just me? Oh gosh, you can hear me.
Ow.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I think it was Steve. Steve, I just muted you, Steve. And I don't know if it's because we're both logged in, but let's try it again and see if we're gonna be having feedback here. So unmute yourself and let's see what happens. I'm gonna get started in just a moment. I'm so excited to be here today with you guys. Today we are doing Spark session 4, your database is your business. We're gonna give it just a couple more minutes to see who else is gonna log on right at 9.
Okay, can you, I'm still getting echoes. Is this any better?
Mm-mm.
All right.
Oh, you know what it is, Steve? It's because maybe because Gina has her volume on her computer as well, perhaps. I think you're in the same room as Gina.
Can you hear us now?
Yep.
Okay. And we're not getting any feedback, so I guess everything's working now.
Yeah, so that definitely seems better. Okay, yeah, I think it was maybe because you guys were between the TV and your computers, they were just competing with each other.
Real quick, are you going to load the slides or do you want me to load them?
Can you do it? Is it handy for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have them here on my iPad as well. Okay, great. Okay, so welcome everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Great.
Great, awesome. What do you guys think of so far of Ignite? How many of you here, this is your first time ever taking Ignite? Awesome. What do you guys think? I know we're on day 4, so we've been through 3 days already. What do you guys think?
I think it's incredibly motivating.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Hey, Tom, nice to see you. Always great to see you. Okay, great. So also, let's see, let me just, I know somebody needed the link to get in. So let me just have Hannah send that link. Like my texts were going off as I was driving here with people asking for things. I want to just make sure I have everybody covered.
Can you all see this slide clearly?
Okay. So any questions before we get started with session 4? Any questions on sessions 1 through 3 of things that you went over in the last couple of days that you wanted either clarification about or you wanted to talk a little bit further about? No? Okay. At any time, please feel free just to unmute yourself and, or raise your hand or whatever. I would love for this to be super interactive for us today. These Ignite sessions are really meant to be a conversation. And I don't want to just, talk at you guys for the next 3 hours. This is a really, they are all really great sessions. Yet database is your business. For this session, this is, I think, maybe the third time that I usually love to teach this one, because our database is so important to our business. It really is the foundation and the cornerstone of our real estate businesses. And you can set your business up in a way that if you are feeding your database and growing your database and you are nurturing your database, that the amount of transactions that you have are just going to naturally increase, because there's transactions in your database, because by the NAR statistics, most people buy and sell properties on a 7 to 10 year cycle. And so that means that every 7 years, your database, there are people in your database who are going to be ready to either purchase their next home or do something different or buy another investment property. And by staying in touch with them and by always being top of mind with your past clients, people that is a great way to always be building your business. And your database, like the one awesome thing about your database is those are all warm calls for you. And those are all warm ways of reaching out to people, because these are people who already know you, have already interacted with you. And so that is just like a warm call versus, picking up the phone and calling, the expired listings, which is another great way to feed your database. Yet that call is a little bit different and has a little bit different feeling than calling people that you already know. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's get going. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. Very quick. I'm Steve DeAngelis. I'm the Market Center technical trainer for Keller Williams Coastal, which is Market Centers 184 and Market Center 700. I love teaching this class as much as Rhonda does, if not more, because this really is going to make you or break you. If you have a good database and you manage it effectively, you will grow and prosper. If you have a database and you ignore it, just go home, because it's not going to work for you.
Awesome. And I just put my contact information in the chat. So that way, if anybody would like to reach out to me later, Steve will do the same for you. We are available for you guys if you have any questions, after class and moving forward. Anything we can do to help your business, we're here for you. So you guys, this slide comes up in every single session. This is what successful agents do every day. It falls into 2 categories. We grow our business and we run our business. To grow our business, we need to lead generate. We need to have listing presentations to get listings. We need to have buyer presentations to work with buyers. Also, this says to get listings. This is to work with buyers. And then also like previewing real estate. And we actually talked about this yesterday at our all partners meeting. That especially if you are a newer associate, and if you're a seasoned associate, it doesn't matter. Every day you should be looking at the hot sheets on MLS. So if you log into MLS and you go to that market watch on the homepage, it's that little square that looks really colorful. It lists all the statuses and tells you how many properties have entered into that status. You can customize the amount of time. I think when you first go in, it might be on 24 hours, yet you can customize that to 3 days, 7 days, or you could really hit the customize button and do whatever you want. You can set it to specific towns. So you could really make that your own as far as the areas you service. And when you jump in the morning, if you're having your coffee, make it a habit of just jumping into MLS and looking at what is going on in the market. So that way, when somebody comes up to you and says, hey, Linda, how's the market? you know, because you've already looked on the hot sheets that day, you know what's come on the market, you know what's gone under contract, and you have a couple of those statistics just ready to be able to talk to somebody instead of just saying, oh my gosh, it's so busy right now. Yeah, it's like super big, we're crazy, right? Because that's what everybody says to us these days. Oh my God, are you just like so crazy busy? And a lot of times agents are just like, oh my God, yes, I am just so busy. And we leave it at that instead of actually having a little bit more of a mindful conversation with them of, yeah, you know what, I was actually looking, looking online today, and we actually had in this town alone, we had 10 listings come on in within a mile of whatever that statistic is, wherever you're concentrating. Or I noticed that the number of properties that went under contract yesterday, increased. We had 150 things across the state of Rhode Island go under contract, whereas, the day before it was only 75. So it just kind of makes it all of a sudden, by having those more meaningful conversations, it's going to elevate you in that person's mind that you're a real estate professional and you're a real estate expert. And that's just what we want to do. Another trick not a trick, but another piece of advice that I had gotten through watching Tom Ferry, he's a real estate coach. He said in one of his online things that if somebody says to you, hey, how's the market? Instead of just saying, oh, it's busy, or it's a seller's market, or it's a buyer's market, stop and ask the person, are you asking as a buyer? Are you asking as a seller? Or are you just asking in general? Because the answer is going to be different depending on how you're asking, right? And also it then uncovers if there's any motivation there. Oh, you know what? We're thinking of putting our house in the market in the next 6 months. And so I was just kind of asking, we're trying to gauge it. That's a whole different conversation than just how's the market? Oh, it's really busy right now. It's a seller's market. It allows you just to uncover a little bit and have a better chance of having a conversation. So previewing real estate, that fourth one, know the market, and by all means, absolutely check out broker open houses that are starting to open up right now. If you're a newer associate and you're finding that you're not super busy on the weekends yet, go pop into some open houses and just preview some properties. So that way you have that firsthand knowledge and you can start to put, this is property condition, this is the price that's gonna go along with it. Okay, so that's one of the things to grow your business. It listed right on there is go and preview real estate. On the other side of the equation, running our business on a day-to-day basis, this is like all the things that we do, right? So we market homes, we show homes, we negotiate contracts, we're doing transaction management, we're talking to vendors. Vendors are a great source of referrals. We're setting our goals. And really looking at your numbers on a daily basis to make sure that you are on track with what your goal is for the year, for the month. You don't have to set a goal for a whole year. Set a goal just for a month. Chunk it down so it's manageable. And here you are attending training and getting some coaching. That's awesome. That is something that we should do. I've been in real estate since 2007, and I still say, and Tom, you can attest to this too, right? We learn something new every single day. Every single day we learn something new in this business. It is ever changing. And then manage your money, right? We're running a business here. We are real estate professionals and we are business owners. So treat your real estate business just like that. It's a business. So make sure that you are tracking your income, make sure you're tracking your expenses, make sure anything that you're spending your money on, whether you're buying leads, whether you're paying for services, make sure that that is giving you a return on investment and treat it like it is a business. Okay, any questions on that? Any thoughts? Okay, all right, Steve. Okay, and so growing your database, and you can go right to the next slide again, Steve. Growing our business is all about, this is part of lead generation for us. Okay, so this falls under the lead generation category, because by tending to our database, that's where we're going to pull some transactions out of when our database clients are ready to buy or sell. Okay, so the first question here is what is a database? So who can answer that question? How would you define what a database is?
All your leads and contacts.
Exactly. It's a place that houses your leads and contacts. What kind of information should you have for those leads and contacts in your database?
everything you possibly can, their phone number, their address, their birthday, how you know them, anything that you can will strike your memory to remember who they are.
Mhm.
That's what I have.
Awesome. Awesome. How many of you, show of hands, are currently using a database? Who's anybody not using a database? And it's okay. This is like no judgment zone here. Who currently is not using a database?
I'm not, because I just sent my information to marketing late yesterday.
Okay.
So I'm brand new to it. So I have a good reason.
It's a good, it's okay, right? Today's day one. So you can absolutely start today. That's awesome. That's great, Shelley, and welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody else not really using a database?
I entered the data, but still didn't start making calls because I initially didn't know the difference between lead and contact.
Yeah.
After Ignite, I learned that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great, Anita. Yes,
Yeah.
right. A difference between a lead and a contact when you're having that
Yeah.
one-way or two-way conversation. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to share? And it's okay, and honestly, it doesn't matter what you use as your database. I know we may have some agents here on our call that are not currently affiliated with Keller Williams, and likely your company has a database system for you, but you should always just make sure you use something. And sometimes I quote Tom Ferry a lot just because I was in his coaching program for a number of years. And I in my real estate, when I was full-time brokerage, I was always looking for the best database system prior to Keller Williams. Keller Williams has our command system, which is pretty phenomenal. Prior to coming to Keller Williams, I was always looking for what is the best database system I can use. And I was always, if something new came on the market, I wanted to check it out and this and that. And I remember Tom Ferry saying, the best database system for you is the one that you're actually going to use. So that is the best database system for you. If you are affiliated with Keller Williams, I highly suggest using the command system that is there for you. It is part of your Keller Williams affiliation. It will do so many things for you. It will automate things for you so you don't have to do them manually. Definitely tap into that resource. If you are not currently affiliated with Keller Williams, make sure if you're not using the one provided by your company that you are using something, because just as Gina had said, by putting in all the information that you know about those contacts, it's always going to make sure when you pull that contact card up, you remember, because you're going to get busy and you're not going to remember everything about everybody all the time. And that's okay. Yet if you're using your database at a high level, your database is going to do that work for you. It's going to remember the birthday for you. It's going to remember what their dog's name is for you. So absolutely pour yourself into your database and really treat it like it's the foundation. Okay, Steve, any comments, any questions? Okay.
The other thing to remember about your database is it helps you have a conversation with people. If you have only 10 clients, you can remember pretty much everything about them. When you get to 100, 200, 300 clients, you're not going to remember anything about that person. So when you go to make that quarterly phone call, you can pull up your client contact and say, oh yeah, this person's looking for a 4-bedroom cape, or this person has 3 children and elderly parents living with them. So it just makes it gives you points you can talk about. Versus, oh, let me give Rhonda a call. I haven't talked to her in 6 months. Who the hell is she again? When I'm racking my brains trying to figure it out.
Exactly. Okay, Steve, we can go to the next slide. Great. Okay, so here's the big picture, right? This is exactly what we're talking about, a well-tended database. So by using a predictable schedule of interacting with your database, that is going to create a predictable flow of leads for you, right? You're going to like we said, every 7-10 years is typically the cycle. So if you are tending to your database on a regular basis, it's going to provide business for you on a regular basis. And in real estate, like that's where we want to get to. We want to get to where our business is kind of running even instead of like being in that roller coaster ride that a lot of us get into in real estate. And you're wondering where your next piece of business is going to come from. By tending to your database, it's going to give you more of a predictable flow for your business. So what is a database? It's a living record of your business relationships. It helps nurture and it helps manage those relationships. It produces a predictable flow of business. And it improves the services and strengthens the relationships. How many times did we say relationships in those? Because this is a relationship business. This is what it is all about. It's about cultivating relationships and maintaining and nurturing those relationships. And if you're brand new and you're like, I don't really have a database yet. I don't really have a database of contacts yet. All of us have our smartphone, everybody in your contacts, everybody that you are Facebook friends with, those are your contacts. You have a database. Okay, so start thinking along those lines. That's your database. You have one. And so now it's just the next step of what you're going to do and how you're going to nurture and organize it. Okay. Okay, so this is everything we're talking about. We just talked about what the purpose of our database is, right? We talked about what makes our database valuable. And then the question 3, what other industry uses a database for prospecting and marketing? Somebody just want to throw out an answer?
Everybody.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. Right? How many mailing lists have we all signed up on, right? Every time you go to a website, every time you're online, it's like, oh, here, just put your information in and, put your email in. We'll give you 15% off today of whatever online shopping website you happen to be on that day, right? Your email address is going right into their database so that they can then stay in touch with you and nurture their relationship with you. Okay, and so question 4, what makes targeted marketing effective? Who can answer that?
Follow up?
Yep.
Follow up?
Yep. What would you consider to be targeted marketing? Let's define targeted marketing.
Region or product specific.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna send real estate info to somebody looking to buy a circus elephant.
Well, I mean,
Oh, I know if they're looking for a place to house them, but you know what I mean.
they do need to house the elephant, right?
Right.
But you were actually right. You were on the right track. Is that, it might be region specific, right? If you're able to organize your database in a way into regions where you can target those regions and send them information on that specific area, or you can send them information on maybe a specific type of home that they're looking for, right? If you know somebody who needs to house that elephant, right? They're going to need an awfully big barn, right? So you can target them by sending them properties that can accommodate that. So you were actually absolutely right. Anybody else want to add to that?
Well, Mark Cavanaugh added in the comments, geographic, demographic, lifestyle information, but be very careful with protected classes.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Absolutely. Fair housing, you have to be very careful on how you are marketing and making sure that you are not overstepping any of those protective classes. Absolutely. Always needs to be top of mind. Thank you for that reminder, Mark.
The other thing that makes it effective is if you're sending people stuff that's going to interest them, they'll look for it. If you're going to send people stuff that doesn't interest them, that they're not even going to bother, they're just going to delete you off their list. So if you know that someone is interested in a certain area or a certain lifestyle, you can send them information that matches those characteristics that they would be interested in, versus sending the person that has that 30,000 pound elephant information about cats. They don't care about cats, they care about elephants.
It's all about elephants today. Okay, awesome.
And Margaret Rossini asked a question about where the YouTube link is going to be. Margaret, it's going to be in the Keller Williams New England YouTube page. So if you go into YouTube and type in Keller Williams New England, bring that page up, and then you'll see all of the Ignite videos will be posted there. It takes them about 6 hours to get the posting up.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, we can move to the next slide, Steve. Great. Okay, so 3 levels of a Millionaire database. So under the essential level, this is the contact, or this is the information that you would have for that contact. Their name, phone number, email address, past business or past contact record. Okay, and that is an at-will communication. Okay, meaning that you know, you're talking with them at will. Every once in a while, you're just reaching out, etc. Effective, right? So level 2 of a Millionaire database, level 2, which is effective, it means that you've obtained permission to be able to send them information. You've collected personal information, insight, and preferences. You start segmenting and grouping them. It says based on 1 through 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're starting to group them or tag them. And Steve's going to talk more about that in a little while. And you have purposeful and consistent communication with them versus at-will communication, which is just here, there, whenever, right? And then if you hit the exceptional level of the Millionaire database, you're adding in some automation. And you're automating communication with them from custom built, it's going to be custom built around triggers, right? So in Keller Williams lingo in the command system, this is where your smart plans would come into play, where you can set up a smart plan based on, say, your client's birthday, where they automatically get a birthday message from you on their birthday, and it's done automatically. So that way you don't even have to do it. It's a set it and forget it. And you are reaching out and communicating with your database on an automated level while you're out on a listing appointment or you're out showing a buyer a property. Okay, so when you get to that level and you're able to automate that communication you're having, your database is going to go into that level 3 into an exceptional level. Has anybody here started using smart plans? Great, Connie, Mark. Awesome, that's great. They're, and Terry, that they are such a great tool. There's a whole library of them. You don't, if you're a little bit worried and you're like, I don't even know where to start, I don't even know what that is. First of all, make sure you reach out to your market center tech trainer if you do have a market center tech trainer. Reach out to them or reach out to somebody else on your leadership who can point you in the right direction. There's also so many command trainings out there that you can also watch one of the trainings just to get a little insight on doing them. There's a whole library of them that's already, you don't have to recreate the wheel here. Right in the library, you can likely find exactly what you're looking for and what kind of smart plan you want to do. And then all you have to do, and Steve's going to show you this later, all you then have to do is build that smart plan, put your contacts onto that smart plan based on tags or based on some other identification piece that you can easily put them on that smart plan. And then it's literally a set it and forget it, and you'll be communicating with them in an automated way that does not need your attention. So definitely kind of dive into it. And if you need help with it, we can absolutely just point you in the right direction to getting some training, as can the leadership in your market center. Okay, so so number 2, so why use a database? And go right to the next slide. So what can somebody, what is the today trap? What do they mean by avoid the today trap? Anyone know what that is?
I'll venture a guess.
Hi, Tony.
Hi. Is it when you say I'll get it done later today, but you get too busy, so you don't do it at all?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly, right? The today trap is like is kind of like running into your business and trying to figure out on the fly, what am I doing today? And how am I going to increase my business today? Versus having some an automatic and systematic approach to being able to grow your business. Anybody want to add anything onto that? Okay, so the second reason is, and we talked about this earlier, is because just avoiding that today trap is going to create predictable business for you and a predictable return on investment for you.
Mind if I jump in for 1 second?
I was watching you, Mark, waiting for you to come off mute.
I would mention too that the today trap also relates to the fact that we have immediacy bias. And so things that seem like fires become more important to us than the things that are not calling for our attention. And so our database is not necessarily calling for our attention. And it's one of the most important things. I would argue it is the most important thing we can do for ourselves, for our business long term, is that we need to communicate on a regular basis. And so if we spend all our time putting out fires and let that get in the way of communicating on a regular basis with our database, we'll only be putting out fires all the time. And so that immediacy bias that we have, and this is universal, we'll spend time doing things that will stop us from doing the most important things.
Perfectly said. Thank you. And so just to tap onto that, there are two types of business, today's business and tomorrow's business. And if you don't have your database, your business is built only for today and what's going on today. Okay, we'll roll to the next one. Okay, so in this little graphic here, I'm going to bring up I know I have some notes on this. Give me one moment. Working two pieces of technology here. Okay, so there's something that goes along with this. Okay, so on the screen here, it says, for example, these 100 people are in your market. Go to the next slide, Steve. And so let's say out of the 100, that 65 are looking to be homeowners and 35 of them are not. And that out of the 65, 58 of those people are off market. And so the remaining 7 people that you see there are today's business, okay? So if you're working without a database and you're only focused on today's business, then you are only focused on those 7 people and that you're not focused on the remaining people that are still sitting in your database. So without having that database and having that record of all of those people, you're only focused on a very small number of folks on today's basis, versus every day as you're nurturing your database and you're staying in touch with your database, you're staying in touch with those 100 people and fostering business for tomorrow. And we talked about the statistic earlier that people move. They say it's every 7 to 10 years that people are moving. And so it's staying in touch with them. You know, when they close on their real estate, then that's going to start that clock ticking to the next transaction that they're going to do. And it's during that time frame. And as they get closer and closer, it's really just important to stay top of mind in them and stay in touch and nurture that database. Okay, so 3 important considerations of predictable return on investment. Lowest lead costs. The cheapest customer acquisition strategy is to work with existing customers and people who know and like you, right? So the people in your database that you've already done business with, or that you know, or that are in your neighborhood, or you know them from maybe a previous employment that you've had. These are people who already know you. They already like you. So those are warm, they're warm leads for you, warm contacts for you. Those relationships already exist. And it's just easy to stay in touch with them and to nurture them. The lowest conversion cost. So the lowest lead cost, then the lowest conversion cost. When properly built, a database will end up producing its own leads in the form of repeat clients and referrals. And so the conversion cost is very low. And third, it'll pay for itself. It makes it easier to do consistent follow-up. And when you're good at follow-up, then the resulting leads will end up paying for themselves. So it just all works hand in hand, and it actually will save you, it's going to save you time by having it automated, and it's going to save you money by really just pouring into your database. And there's a lot of agents out there who that's like their main source of their business, is just utilizing their database and staying in touch with their database. Okay, so let's talk about developing your database. Move right to the next slide, Steve. So the first part of that is to feed it constantly, right? And consistently. Always be feeding your database. What are some ways that you can feed your database? Anyone? Somebody shout out something. How can you feed your database?
Add new
Open
people.
houses.
Yep, who just said open houses?
Oh,
Anita, yes, exactly, open houses. If you're doing open houses for another agent in your market center, if you're a new agent or hosting an open house at one of your listings, everybody that comes in that open house, you should be getting their contact information, right? It's very easy to do. Sometimes, as like a new agent, you're afraid to ask people like, do you mind signing in? Especially nowadays with COVID, it's always a good idea to make sure that you know everybody who has come through the house in case you need it later. But also it's a great way to feed your database. Is to get their contact information. People don't mind if you just say, hey, welcome to 123 Main Street. Can you please do me a favor and just sign in on the sheet? If you're working with an agent, please let me know. Yet would love for you to sign in, so that way we have a record that you were here, and then that way I can also follow up, excuse me, with you or your agent later to find out some additional feedback on the property. And then afterwards, you can put those people in your database if they are not working with another agent. Okay, and then you have a way to stay in touch with them. So Mark said in our chat, feed means add to it, which can be adding a new person or adding new data to an existing contact, notes, or any part of the database that would improve the health score of the contact. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. It might be somebody that is already in your database, but then you might find out a little bit more information. So make sure you're always going back and updating that contact with the new information that you have. And then Mitch also put in there that marketing campaigns is also a great way to feed your database. And Mitch, I know you have firsthand, right? You have some people that you added into your database from doing your neighborhood, your farming around your neighborhood. Do you want to say anything about that?
It's getting out there and just meeting people in your neighborhood. It's really great. It fosters, just a good vibe in the neighborhood. We just had for Halloween, we just had a parade slash neighborhood block party, and got to meet people that I haven't met, and just, handed out candy with my business card on it, and they loved it.
That's awesome. That's great. That's great. And then were you able to somehow capture some of those contacts to add to your database?
Well, what I did is the woman who hosted the party, I went on Facebook and reached out and said, what a great time everybody had. And the people that follow her will hopefully see that. So there's that connection. And
Mhm.
she reached out and said, hey, thank you for, posting that. And so it was a back and forth, kind of like I promoted her
Yeah, and
business.
that's
and
great.
she-
It doesn't have to be. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was it. That was it.
Okay, I think you might have cut out just a little bit.
Oh,
But yeah, it doesn't always have to be something that's super, super immediate, right? There's some ways where you're gonna put a whole bunch of people into your database, from your prospecting efforts. And then in other cases, it might be something that's a little bit more, long-term, such as when you're doing marketing and whatnot, right? And so you might be doing some marketing efforts, and then over time, you're gonna get those contacts back from that, who are gonna reach back out to you. And that's when they become golden in your database, because from that conversation and what Mark was saying is then you can go back and you can really add some valuable information onto that contact versus just having them as a name and you'd have never met them before and you're not really sure where they came from, et cetera. Tom, are you going to add something to that? I saw you come on.
Yeah, there was a bowl that I attended, and there was someone that was very successful with a handout, and they invested $100 and they did 100 scratch lotto tickets attached to a business card, and they got a lot of attention by handing a business card attached to a lottery ticket.
Love that. Love that. I wonder if they had any winners off of that. Then they, right?
Yeah, to buy the $1 million house, right?
Exactly. Exactly. That's great. There's always so many creative ways to get your name out there and just, try to bring a little bit of attention to yourself. There's a lot, people are very, very creative. And you can always get ideas, right? If you're there's so many Facebook groups out there, and you can really get some great ideas, or even just going on Pinterest. Pinterest is great for that. Just getting some ideas on some clever ways to add your business card to something that's not high cost, that you could just hand out and just, get out there and meet people. Also, another way that to add to your database and to get out there and meet people is just being active in your community, and doing, some working through either a charitable organization, getting involved in your local realtor board, or getting involved in your school or in your church. But that is another way just to, get out there and meet people, and, have conversations with people at events or at, at the soccer field on a Saturday. Typically when you're talking with somebody and if you're interested in them, right, and you're asking how they're doing, what do they do, et cetera, at some point they're also going to ask that question of you, where then you can let them know that you are in real estate, and that's where the relationship is just going to start. So there's so many ways that you can add to your database, in more ways than, sometimes as agents, we get kind of caught in, oh, that just means I just need to be on the phone and, cold calling people to add them to my database. There are so many ways that you can grow your database. There's 100 ways to do it. You need to find the ways that you're going to be consistent at it and that you're going to want to do it over and over and over again. Okay, we can go to the next slide unless anybody has anything else they wanted to add. Okay, so secondly, segmenting it into groups. This is where the term tags will start to come into play. So if you just have if you have about those 100 people that we were talking about a little bit earlier, if you have those 100 people in your database and they're just all those 100 names, 100 phone numbers, 100 email addresses, and you don't really, maybe you have their birthdays, that's great too, right? Or you have their social media pages in there, great. The more information, the better. Even if you have their home addresses, great. But if they're just 100 people that all just kind of are in one big clump, you're not using your database to the most effective way. So you want to tag them, you want to segment them into groups, so that way you know how to interact with them. And these are some example tags that you can use. It could be your business relationship. That's probably one of the biggest ones. whether it's somebody that you haven't done any business with yet, or if they're an active client, if they're a past client, if there's somebody who has referred you business in the past, or if they're a VIP, right? Meaning that they have done a lot of business with you. So they might be one of your really, really, close clients of yours who are just like super loyal that you might want to consider as one of your VIP clients. That's really, really important. And you can do it. You can do it any way you want. You want to do it so that way it's easy for you to be able to search by those tags in your database and pull those people out. And I can just tell you, for example, in my brokerage business, we would tag our contacts with whether they were a buyer or a seller. So not only were they an active client, but we also further put them down into whether they were a buyer, a seller. And if they were both, they got both tags. So you didn't have to just choose what you can have as many tags on somebody that are relevant to them. So some of our contacts were buyers, some were sellers, some were buyers and sellers because they were selling and buying a house. As soon as they closed that transaction, we would put a past client tag on them. And then we would also put whether they bought or they sold. So that way we knew if they were a past client, but we also wanted to know if they sold a house or if they bought a house someplace, because we might interact with them differently. And then if they were a referral to us, we would also put that they were a referral, and then we would also tag the other contact that gave us the business and that referred the business. So that way we could always make sure that if we want to just pull out everybody that has referred us business in the last year, and maybe send them a little thank you, it's really easy for you to just pull them out of your database. So you can create as many tags. Your tags can be it's for you to be able to pull everybody out. Another thing that we did in COVID, talking about the dollar scratch cards, Tom, is when COVID hit and we were making a lot of care calls to our database, we pulled out maybe 100 of our VIP clients and we sent them a card with a scratch ticket in them, and then we tagged them. So that way we know who got those scratch tickets. We can always go back and pull them out, and we'll use that sometimes to send them something else. I'll just say, you know what, let's just send it to whoever we sent the dollar scratch to. And it's just an easy way to be able to maintain and be able to segment your contacts. Some other ways too. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I would
Go
say
ahead,
too, relative to tagging, some people get carried away with tagging. And so as you're thinking about, should I add a tag to somebody, think about, is there ever going to be a second person that I might want to include that tag on? Because if there's not, don't bother. Right. Because what you're thinking is, I'm going to be doing something multiple times. So for instance, you want to send something to a TL. If you have Rhonda and you have Mark in your database, they could be listed as a TL, and then you might mark it to TLs because you might have a specific message for TLs. Does that make sense? And if there's only one person, left-handed skyhook guy, and there's never going to be another left-handed skyhook guy, don't bother to tag that unless you're going to want to look them up by that because you think you're going to forget everything else about them.
Great point. Great point. So has anybody started working with tags? Who has their contacts in their database and they have some tags on them? Anyone? Okay, well, Steve is going to show you how to do that in a little while. We're going to have a little demo. So don't worry, don't fret about it. It's super easy to do. You can create them on the fly. It's super, super easy. So don't, we'll get to that. Okay, Steve, you can move on to the next slide. Oh, so here we are. So we're gonna do a demo. Let's take, you guys want to take a little break, check your phones, fill your tea. Okay. All right, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. I'm gonna take that as yes. Everybody wants a 10-minute break. So it is, let's see what time it is here. So it's just about, so let's meet here at 10 o'clock. It's 9:47 right now. We'll be back at 10. Okay, see you then.
Thank you.
Fear. That's my text, fear. Yeah. Steve, you taught me how to do all that.
I did.
We're going to get started again in just a moment. And Steve is going to do a demo on tagging your database. It's super easy to do. And so Steve, whenever you are ready, you can just go ahead and take it away. You're on mute, Steve.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. First, I just want to read a note that if you're not looking at the chat, this is a note that Mark Kavanaugh put in. He had to leave. But he said, pay attention to the demo when you get back to this, gang. Implementing your database well is perhaps the most important thing you can do to set yourself up for real success. And he's absolutely right. I will debate with him the idea of only putting in tags when you have a lot of people in that group. I happen to like to have tags that only work for 1 or 2 people. So let me share another screen with you and I'll start talking about tags. Okay. And I will upload this to the chat when I'm done. This is what I use for tags. I did not create this. I stole this from a few other people. It started an agent showed a piece of it. I said, what a great idea, let me play with this. So let me explain the method to my madness here. Everybody comes into the database. My mouse not being cooperative. Okay, you see the red column? This is the temperature gauge. Everybody gets assigned a temperature. Either they all come into my database as a lead, and a lead is someone that you have not had a conversation with yet. Someone gave you a contact to put in your database. Someone found your website and registered, what have you. It's someone that you have not personally conversed with. So you don't know what they're doing. They might have just been looking at the pictures because they wanted to see what the new kitchen looked like, or they may be legitimate home buyers or sellers. So they all come in as a lead. When you have that conversation, then you decide, are they hot, which means I got to show them a house tomorrow, they got to move in 30 days, they got to do something, they're out looking right away, they need to do something immediately. Are they warm? Those are the people that are thinking of buying or selling, they're just testing the water. You need to push them over that cliff and get them to go. And then you've got the colds. Those are the people that are very happy where they are. They have no intention of moving. Their house is beautiful. They love it. It's the perfect size today. Tomorrow that could change. So by using those 3 temperatures, you want to focus in on your warms and your hots. You're spending a lot of time with those people, but you're not going to ignore your colds. Your cold people, you want to put those on what we call a smart plan. They get a message from you once a month. You get a reminder to call them at least 4 times a year. You kind of let the system take care of those people so you can focus in on the ones that need to do something right away. And then, of course, once you've signed that contract and had the closing, they become sold. And then I have my farm, and a farm is just, it's a geographic area that I'm trying to take over and dominate. So everyone in my database gets a red tag. The next column, the system tags, these are for me for administrative purposes. Is it another agent? I put every agent I do a deal with in my database. Because the former OP at my market center once told us in a class that he got about 25% of his business was referrals from agents who had left the business. But they liked working with him, so when someone said to them, I need a realtor, they sent them to Carl. So I put all those people in my database and I market to them. Are they an allied resource, carpenter, electrician, landscaper, plumber, house painter, whatever? Are they a buyer? Are they downline? Is it something that needs review? Is it something where I'm missing something? Maybe I have their phone number and their email address. I don't have a home address on them yet. So so every so often I'll run my system tags, on a rainy Sunday afternoon when I'm not doing an open house. Let me get more information on this person. The source tags, where'd they come from? How did you get this person? So when you call that person and they say, who gave you my phone number? Why are you bothering me? Oh, your cousin told me you needed a realtor and he asked me to reach out and give you a call. We met at an open house at 125 Main Street, or what have you. Or, are they a past client? Are they a preferred client? The light green, what kind of a mailing list do I have them on? My email lists. My occupation hobbies, the blue column, that's where I tend to go a little crazy. The more I learn about people, the more I put in, because when you're calling them, when you're sending them information, you do not want to be throwing up real estate every time you talk to them. You want to be giving them something that they're going to value. So if you know that the person is into is into photography, you can talk to them about that. If you know that they're involved in, they like to go to outdoor events, you can send them information when those events come along. The events list itself, Mark and Rhonda had talked earlier about your really good referral clients. Well, if you do a deal with me, you get a pie at Thanksgiving. If you give me a referral, you get a pie at Easter, as well as the Thanksgiving pie. And if you give me a couple of referrals, you're getting 3 or 4 pies a year. You're getting invited to festivals. You're getting invited to concerts. I have one client. I have done 6 deals with her and 4 more deals referred from her. And I've only known this lady for 6 years. So you want to, she's my shining star. She's the reason you want to keep in contact with people. You want to share information with them that they're going to find of value. You're going to want to, when you get that phone call, oh my God, I need an electrician. You can go to your database and pull up all the electricians you know of and say, here are a couple of people that are in your area. Or if they say, I found mold in my attic, you can go to your database and pull up, who mold remediation specialists are. What this does is it allows you to keep those conversations going. I also add in tags whenever I do a lot of social promotion now on Facebook and Twitter. If I'm posting, when I get a new listing, I put it out there. I create a tag for that listing so that I know that, oh, you came in from the ad I ran on this particular condo or on this particular house, or you came in, from the promotion I did for this particular event. So I have that contact on you, and I can refer back to it when it's necessary. This dark column, DTD2, I do not use this, but this is a Keller Williams program. What it allows you to do is it allows you to divide your database, divide it up. This is the first initial of the last name of everybody, so that as you call, so if it's the week to call A's and W's, you're not looking for root beer, you're looking for repeat business. You're going to call everyone that has a last name that starts with an A or a W. And this will allow you to, if you follow this program, it has you call your clients once every 13 weeks. So you get those 4 calls, those 4 personal calls in every year. Anyone have any questions on that? The dead silence scares me.
I like that. I love this. I love the colors. It's very visual. I think that is, I think that's great. Everybody should have taken a screenshot of that, or Steve, maybe you can put a link to that in the chat.
I'm gonna put it in the, I'm gonna upload it into the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions on tagging your database? Oh, and these colors are not random. It's of course the temperature you want to have red. But I can, when I look at a customer record, I instantly know, okay, you know, I've got occupation on this person. I've got them in my event schedule. I got them in my source tag. I know a little bit more about them just by looking at the colors, and it corresponds with the colors that you can create for your tags in Command. Yes, Anita, you have a question.
There are only few colors in the tag section in Command. How do we get more colors?
You can't, but you can get all these colors in Command.
Okay.
That's something that I cannot change. That was when the system was set up. It was set up with those colors.
Okay.
And
I didn't see all these colors in Command. I saw only 4 colors. That's what I want.
Hold on a second. Let me share another screen with you.
Yes.
There they are. It's not pink. It's gold, kind of a yellow gold, yellow, and then you've got the 2 shades of green, purple, and black.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So in Command, you can search on a color.
You can't search on a color. You can search on a label, but you can see the color.
Because in your list, you had one item that was in 2 different colors, same name. How do you distinguish the two? Like you have out of.
You know, it's sometimes things are, you know, some things, yeah, they were in another color and I moved them over. But I still have that tag in the 2 different colors. It's one problem with the tag is once you've assigned people to that tag, you cannot delete it.
Okay.
So as I've moved things to new colors, I'm slowly weaning the other people off that color. But it's not something you can do instantly.
Okay, thanks.
But when you have it set up like this, let me
Steve, do you want to open up Command and just do a little demo on how they can add one on the fly? You know, how you can create that tag?
exactly what I'm going to do. Give me another
Okay.
second here.
Did you guys find that that list of tags useful? Yeah, it is really, it is very, very.
So this is basically how it works. So I can see right away. I primarily sell along the south coast of Rhode Island, so I get a lot of vacation home buyers and a lot of out-of-state people. Then you also have the clear tags. These are default tags that Command has built in. But as you pull up records, let's go bother Frankie today. You know, you've got their tags in there. So, you know, Frank was looking for a vacation home. He's from out of state. I love these New York people. They bring big bags of money to Rhode Island and they say, "Oh, it's only 600,000." He was an online lead and we closed. So he's also a sold client. So it very quickly allows me to see, you know, oh, if I want to do a search on people that I sold to, I can do that. I can also do a search on, you can search on tags. Remember I mentioned earlier when I do a promotion, I put a tag in for that promotion. So I can go and I can, I love Zoom. It always puts the pictures right where I want to click the next button. And so this is a new tag I'm running. I don't have anybody in yet, but over this weekend, I'll start getting people in here.
And one thing too, I just wanted to, and Shelley, I see your hand raised as well, so I'm going to get you in one moment too. One thing I did want to say for anybody that is on the Ignite today, that is not, who doesn't have this exact system, absolutely go back to your database system that you are using, because you most likely can do this in there as well, because tags are a very important piece of contacts. So again, if you're not in the Keller Williams ecosystem, that's okay. Anything that you are using, and even if you're just using an Excel spreadsheet, if you maybe you don't have a database system that you're using, if you're using Excel, that can be a CRM. You can also create and filter in, like, just even in an Excel spreadsheet. So it's more, Steve's just going to go give a quick demo here for anybody who is in command on how to do it, yet you can do this anywhere. So don't get too caught up in if you don't have this exact technology. And Shelley, did you have a question?
I did actually, because I was watching a training video on YouTube yesterday about this. And he just said that you can't remove a tag. Can't you remove a tag by archiving?
Well, no, you can't remove a tag if someone has that tag in their contact record. So in other words, you can't delete a tag. You can remove it from the record, but you can't delete it unless nobody is attached to that tag. If someone's attached to that tag, the system will not let you delete it or archive it.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Because what happens to the record? All of a sudden, it doesn't have a tag on it. So in this example here, I did a search on, I wanted to see who all my hot people were, who all the people I'm running around like an idiot with right now. And it brings up the 7 people that are either looking to buy or sell something right now. You know, so you can sort on your tags very easily. You just come up to your filter and you select the tag you want to search on, just like you can select on, you know, anything, you know, where the lead came from, when you last contacted them, what's their birthday, etc. You can sort on tags. You can also, fairly new person, if I want to add this guy to a smart plan, I can add him this way, or I can say take everyone that's this particular tag and put them on a smart plan. Go over and show you how that works real quick, even though this is not a class in smart plans. So I can search by tags to go on a smart plan. So it brings up all my hot clients and allows me to tag them as such. I can search by, I can run a smart plan on any of the tags I have. Anything else you want me to show them on that respect?
No, that's awesome. Thank you. Perfect.
Let's go back. Let's see if I can find my slides now.
Anybody have any, and if you have any other questions, we're absolutely available to help you guys out. And like I said, or leadership can point you in the right direction, your leadership, if you don't have a market center tech trainer. But definitely feel free to reach out to Steve or myself if you have any specific questions.
And both of our contact information is in the chat. And before we end the class, we'll put our stuff back out there, so you'll have our contact info.
Exactly. Great. Great. Okay, so I think next we are going to talk about these touch campaigns or smart plans. And again, if you're in a different system, it's going to be called something else, but it's just setting up an automated way for you to stay in touch with your clients. So that way you are out there and you are out there doing what we do as real estate agents, and generating more business. And if you are choosing to send out 100 emails today to somebody that you have tagged in your database with a certain tag, that is getting done in the background, and that is getting done while you are out there and you are generating more business for tomorrow, right? So that's the whole purpose. And to have a system in place where you are reaching out to your contacts on a multiple basis per year, that is how you're going to get that business just flowing in predictably, because you're always reaching out to your database and they're hearing from you on a regular basis. How many times have any, and raise your hand or raise your digital hand. How many times have you been like thinking like, I don't know, maybe that you need, you need new tires for your car, right? And you're kind of like, oh, I really need new tires. And that day in the mail comes in, a postcard from the local tire company, right? And you're just like, oh God, I just got this. And I was just thinking last week, I really need new tires, right? You pick up that and you're going to call them and you're going to go over. And now if they didn't give it, if that didn't arrive in your door like that day, you might've been sitting there in the yellow pages, or right, trying to figure out who am I going to just start calling random places, etc. But yet, because they had marketed to you, it just happened to hit you at the right time, and you were, and you were thinking, oh my gosh, I really need that service, and that prompted you to take action. So it's kind of like along the same lines. Did that ever happen to anybody where you're thinking about something and then all of a sudden something shows up in the mail that's exactly related to that? Yeah, right. It definitely happens. So it's if you are in a consistent flow of reaching out to your customers and just letting them know, hey, I'm thinking of you, right? Hey, I'm thinking of you. And I'm here to help you. If you have any real estate needs, I would love to help you. And sometimes we don't want to ask for help. We feel like, oh, I'm being a little salesy and I'm just being kind of, and I don't know, I'm not really comfortable doing that. But you have to remember that you are a real estate expert, and we are all here to serve our clients. We're all here to help our clients. And if our clients don't remember that we can have the ability to do that, that's all you're doing, is just letting them remember that we have the ability to help them, or anybody they know who is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And the best way to do that is to stay in touch with them and just remind them on a basis all the time, that because otherwise, and sometimes it's your family, right? Sometimes you're like, you ever like talk to a family member and they're like, oh yeah, we decided to we're buying this little investment property down the street. And you're like, hello, I'm like a real estate agent, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, he's got his postcard in the mail. And we got really excited and we called and we just went to go see it and we weren't really going to buy it. And then here we are, right? So, I mean, and the family's it's kind of funny, but it does happen. But that can happen to your clients. It's happened to me as a real estate agent in my brokerage business. And it hurts. Like, it sucks when that happens, when you go to finally reach out to somebody. You haven't been in touch with somebody in 2 years and you finally go to reach out to them. And they say, oh, we just bought a house like 6 months ago. We went to an open house and we put an offer in on it. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't stay. And I just didn't stay in touch with them. They kind of slipped through the cracks. So if you set a system up where it's systematic, it's automatic, that is doesn't mean it still might not happen here and there, but it's going to happen a lot less. And it's going to actually generate more business because you're going to be in touch with more people on a regular basis. So they have segmented this into leads and contacts. And the difference, I know you guys learned this in the last couple of days, the difference between a lead and a contact is that leads are people who have the right to at least have a one-way conversation with you. Okay, that you have the right to have at least one-way conversation. And then they become a contact when they're connected by permission, and it's because you guys actually have that relationship formed. Okay, and they're interactive and they're value-based. So you've had a two-way conversation with them. So as Steve had said, if he's out there putting, doing a campaign on a property that he has listed on the market and somebody replies to that ad, right, that they are a lead. If Steve then has a two-way conversation with them, Steve calls them, they answer the phone, he has a conversation, finds out what they're looking for. Maybe that property is not right for them. Now they are a contact in his database. Right? And Steve may say, hey, listen, okay, this property is not right for you yet. Is it okay if I maybe send you some additional properties that I have coming on the market, or I send you additional properties in that same area that you might be interested in? So now they are a contact, not a lead. So for a touch campaign, if you're trying to put something together, this is a suggestion, a 19 to connect, right? So 19 to turn them at some point into a contact. So calling them 4 times. So now if that lead from Steve did not answer the phone, they're still going to be a lead. So Steve's maybe going to reach out to them again by phone next quarter. In the meantime, he's going to send them a monthly email, a newsletter, a market report, maybe on the neighborhood that they were searching in. He's going to send maybe 2 promotional direct mails to them. Maybe it's a calendar, maybe it's a magnet, maybe it's a market report, maybe it's a dollar scratch card. Now, in order to do that, he would need to have captured what their address is, right? So keep that in mind as well, especially if you are running ads on your listings, what that form looks like and what information you are capturing, because obviously you would need to do that unless you were able to figure that out, if you were able to, have somebody maybe looking up that information for you. And then, and just doing like a big mass, maybe, an annual event or something where you can just invite a ton of people to, right? And doing all of that in the hopes of converting them, right? Connecting with them to turn them into a contact. And then 36 to convert, that's just to keep them flowing with either sending you referrals or when they're ready to buy or sell a property. So in this case, same thing, 4 phone calls. They're going to get a bi-weekly email of something. And you can modify these to be what you want to do, what you're comfortable with and all of that. But maybe sending them, a bi-weekly, maybe just on mortgage rates. It could just be a simple email that you send them every couple of weeks that says, this is what the mortgage rates are doing right now. Or this is a snapshot of what's been happening in your neighborhood with the market right now. One great piece of data, who here has been over on Rhode-IslandLiving.com? Has anybody ventured over to RILiving.com? So when you go over to RILiving.com when you get a chance today. I'm going to put this in the chat as well. RILiving.com, go under the header on the top, the menu item about Rhode Island. I think it says about RI. And then very at the bottom of that menu, it says Rhode Island Home Statistics or Rhode Island Statistics. If you click on that, it will give you the housing stats for the whole year. And you can go back many, many years. You'll see over on the right-hand side, it lists all the years. There's so much data in there, and there's so many cool nuggets of things that you can send to your clients. One of the reports will break it down town by town. So you can look in, if you have somebody who's looking for a home in Warwick, you can go under Warwick and you can look and see what the median sale price is for 2021, what it was in 2020. So how it definitely rose, right? In these times, what the difference is. You can look at what the days on market is doing. So you can get a really cool little tidbit of information. That can be you could use that data in one of those 26 touches. The data comes out monthly. So typically by the 20th of the month, they will release the stats for the previous month. So right now out there, you can find September. October will be released probably around November 20th. But there's even like great little PDFs. You can just attach that to an email and send it. And it shows what the median sale price is, the days on market, what the absorption rate is, right? Right now, I pulled that report yesterday. Rhode Island is at a 1.8 absorption rate. So we're still a heavy, heavy seller's market here. But that data is just great to know. It's just great little, like, those 26 touches can just be a, did you know? Hey, did you know? Our absorption rate in Rhode Island is 1.8. That's all you need to send. They just need to see your name and you just need to give them a little piece of value. Anita, do you have a question?
So will this information be for every town? We live in Framingham.
So this is in Rhode Island, and perhaps Massachusetts has something similar to that. But this one is Rhode Island living, so it's for all the towns in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is cool. If you're doing, if you're doing any business here, it's really handy. And absolutely check I would check in with with the Association of Realtors over there and ask them if they have that, because absolutely, you can also pull a lot of these stats right out of our MLS systems. So you may also be able to get it right out of MLS PIN. Okay, but just, you're just looking for something that's as quick and easy and just something that you can send to them. You don't have to kind of recreate some big thing. And then again, some events or get-togethers, and then some direct mail. Any questions?
When you send these stats to them, do you have to credit the source so that they can go look themselves?
Yeah, if you're sending that PDF to them, I think it'll say it right on the bottom. But yeah, a lot of times what I'll do is, sorry, I have like a little frog in my throat, is I will put like taken from MLS or something, like absolutely. So that way, if it turns out that maybe those stats are not right, it didn't come directly from you. So it never hurts just to put where you found the information. But if you're giving that to, and they know you're going to send that to them every month, they're going to look forward to that, right? They're not going to go out and find it themselves. You don't have to say how you got it. You just need to say, taken from the Rhode Island stats or the Massachusetts stats. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. Okay, we can go to the next slide, Steve. And then, tend your database over time. So who here is asking for customer testimonials or reviews? Has anybody ventured down that path yet? I know some of you maybe are new and haven't completed a transaction yet, but any of our seasoned agents?
Steve. Steve's waving.
Steve, you?
I do.
Good. Tell us, how do you go about that?
It depends if they're a buyer or a seller. If they're a buyer, I ask for a review after the contract's been accepted, because that's when they're happiest. And if it's a seller, I don't ask them for one until the closing, because the day after they accept the contract, they have that seller remorse. Oh, maybe we could have gotten a few dollars more, but then at the closing table, when they get the check, that's when they're happy. So depending on whether they're a buyer or a seller, I just ask them, would you mind giving me a review? And I send them the Zillow link, and I send them there's a link in Command now that they can do a review on. And if they fill out the review, I send them a thank you note. If they don't fill out the review, I do not send them hate mail. But if you've worked well with the person and you ask them, 9 times out of 10 they'll give you a review. Hey, had a great time working with this person, and they helped me all along the way, and they explained everything. It's a great way of, it's an easy way of boosting your business, because a lot of people now, they're going to look for you online. They might meet you at an open house, but they're going to go online to find out about you. And when they see people saying, oh, what a great experience, didn't have any issues, answered all of our questions, took very good care of us, that just boosts you up that much higher.
That's great. Yes, absolutely. And this is something you could also set up and automate. If you know when your closing date is going to be, you could set up a smart plan that automatically sends out an email to them after closing to, you know, to ask them for the review. You could just set it to go out on a certain date and automate that. One thing that our real estate team has done in the past is we send how many of you are seasoned agents as well? How many of you like send home anniversary cards out for on their year anniversary? It is it's so easy, and everybody should do this, is just send out a card on their anniversary for you to just say happy home anniversary. That's a great time to check in. How are things going, right? Of course, you're gonna be staying in touch with them in other ways. But we send them out consistently, and people love them. People will still email me that I sold homes to 5 years ago and just say, oh my God, I got your home anniversary card today. Thank you so much. And we still love the home. It's a great way just to open up a conversation and see if anything has changed, or, you know, maybe they're thinking that, you know, they want to relocate, or they want to sell the house or buy something else. Also, when we would close a property, we send out handwritten cards when they hit 3 months, and then the home anniversary card. So when we close something, we write those, you know, we write those cards out when they close. It's part of our closing process with a client. And we have a little system that we use. So it has all of the, you know, it's a system where it has all the months. It has 12 compartments. We write out those cards before closing. It's part of what we do when we close out the transaction, and we just put them in the months that they need to get mailed out. We don't, so it's slightly automated, right? It's not through a system, but it is automated in the fact that when March rolls around, our team administrator just takes all the cards that are in March, and she just goes and throws them in the mail. They've already been written, they're already stamped, they're already ready to go. And we're not scrambling like, oh my God, how many anniversary cards do I need to send this month? And somebody's going to end up falling through the cracks. So it's all about creating a system and then just executing on that system. And it can be anything from automated emails to text messages to handwritten notes to phone calls. And, you know, just creating that system and then reminding yourself what needs to get done and when it needs to get done. There's lots of ways that you can stay in touch with your client database. And then also intend to it over time is to regularly update it and prune your database. Mark was talking about this earlier. Steve had touched on it as well. Go back, spend time in your database, right? Always like go back and just kind of review your database. And also a lot of times you're gonna go back and you're gonna be like, oh gosh, you know what? I haven't spoken to Shelly in a while. You know what? Let me just reach out to her. Some days I'll just go in my database and just kind of live in my contacts for a little bit and be like, you know what? Even though we have people set up, but you know what? I'm just gonna like randomly call this person today. Or lately, I love doing video messages. Steve, if Valerie is in the office over there, she'll be laughing at me from her office because I love sending video text messages to people. People love them, especially somebody who maybe hasn't been responding to you in a while. You know, maybe you made contact with somebody and they were super interactive with you. And then all of a sudden you're trying to set an appointment with them, but then they just kind of stop responding to your text messages or your phone calls and you can't get them. Sometimes just doing something a little different. So sometimes I'll just record a quick little video on my phone and I'll send them in text message and I'll say, hey, Shelly, it's Rhonda. Listen, I was just sitting here at my desk today. You popped into my mind and I decided I was just going to take action and I wanted to just send you a little video. I've been trying to connect with you. I'm sure you're super, super busy. So I thought I'd give this a shot. Would love to set up a time to talk with you. Shoot me a text back or give me a ring. Let me know if you have some availability next week. And most times people will be like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. I love that. Yeah, you know what? Let's set that up. So it's just something a little bit different. We are marketed, all of us too, are marketed to so much on a daily basis, right? How many times does your phone ring with people trying to sell you something, people trying to get information from you, etc.? Sometimes just changing it up a little bit and just doing something a little different. All of a sudden they're like, oh, that's so cool. You know what? I'm just going to respond to her right now.
That's why we call her Hollywood. Hollywood.
I do a mean Facebook Live too. So Anita said system to mail out handwritten monthly closing and an anniversary. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there are systems out there like send out cards. If you go to sendoutcards.com, it is a website where you can send automated cards to people. So if you didn't want to handwrite the cards yourself and remember to send them out on a yearly basis, you can go to Send Out Cards and you could create the card in there. They will even mail it out for you. And you can have it say, I want this sent out every March 31st. And they will just send it out for you. And you can use fonts. I think I used to belong to them back in the day. I think they'll even send you a form where you could handwrite in your writing and they will create a font for you. So it actually looks like your signature. Like you could do your signature and send it into them. And so when the card is signed, and they typically do it like in blue, it does look, if you look super closely, you can tell it's not like wet signed, but it looks pretty darn close and it'll actually be in your real signature. So definitely check out that service if you want to really, really systematize that.
Yeah.
Okay, so recap in ahas. So tell me some things that you like were surprised at to learn today. Tell me some things that that you definitely want to implement that you think like, no, I don't really, that's not going to be my cup of tea. So give me some feedback.
The
I think
tagging,
it's great. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead.
I think it's a great tool to have. I've started using it. A little bit of struggles trying to get plans in there and designs and all that still. So I'm still struggling with that, but it's definitely from now to year end, it's going to be something that I spend quite a bit of time on.
Good, great.
Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Now's a great time to do it, right? And set your business up for 2022.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
Creative ways of communicating to people with a business card. That was, I can do it now as I'm new in the thing. Really, I just joined.
That's awesome. That's awesome and welcome.
Thank you.
That's
And
great.
even the handwritten cards, that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah.
And the tagging Steve told. Yes.
Yeah, it's all good stuff, right? It's I
Yes.
mean, this is the foundation. So absolutely make sure you have your get your database on and just make
Thank
sure
you
that
so
you
much.
really are setting it up. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else?
Thank you. Hi. Thank you
Hi,
for
Prune.
sharing your system on the anniversary cards. It's really smart to do that at closing so that you've got it ready for next year.
Exactly.
I like
right.
that.
Awesome. Exactly. Yeah. Anything we can do that we don't have to remember to do something later is really good. Right? Because like, you get busy, we're busy. So it's, yeah, that's good. One thing that one of the agents in our market center, I was having lunch with her a few weeks ago, and we were talking about our databases and we were talking about lead generation and we were talking about ways of, and lead generation in conjunction with our databases, right? So she was saying to me, I really am not like somebody who wants to sit for 2 hours and just make a bunch of cold calls for my lead generation time. And so we started talking and said, well, what would it look like if you were spending that time really interacting with your database on a very purposeful way? And we came up with this. I was saying to her, listen, I was like at this event like years ago. And I said, I saw somebody at the event and they were talking about kind of like this systematized way of, staying in touch with people that you knew. And I said, and they kind of were saying like, do some of this, do some of it. Was kind of like a little bit of everything. And this conversation just kind of flourished. And Tracy and I came up with something that we just called in the moment, 5 to Thrive. And I'll put this in the chat. And once we came up with it, we were both looked at each other like, oh my God, like that is so simple. And it is something that you can do every single day that is going to give you the possibility of having 20 to 25 conversations with people every single day, which is just going to really foster that database, giving you business back. And so what we said was this: 5 to Thrive, doing 5 activities and 5 of that activity. So for example, we said, if you make on a daily basis, if you're sitting down to put your time blocked time of lead gen, and you're going to focus on your database. So make 5 phone calls that day, pick 5 people out of your database that you haven't spoken to in a while and call them, or pick them from Steve's tags, the DTD2. Right? So today we're calling from A and W, right? So pick everybody from A and W for these next 25 things that you're going to do, right? So you're gonna make 5 phone calls. You're gonna pick up the phone, you're gonna call 5 of those people and just say, hey, Tony, it's Rhonda Messenborg calling from Keller Williams Realty. I know we haven't spoken in a while. You came to mind today. I just wanted to pick up the phone and say hello. How's the family? Last time we talked, I know that you were just starting a new job. How is that going? How are the kids doing? Gosh, right? 5-minute conversation. I'm just calling just to check in on you. You don't have to call them and be like, hey, Tony, it's Rhonda, listen, hey, I'm calling them. By any chance, you're thinking of like selling your house today, right? Like it doesn't have to be that way, right? It can be a care call. And then at the end of the call, say, hey, listen, Tony, you know that I'm here. I always want to be a real estate resource for you. So in the event that you are ever thinking buying, selling, or investing, or maybe somebody I would absolutely love the opportunity to be able to help them if you would keep me in mind. That's such a warm phone call, right? And again, you're just reaching out and reconnecting with Tony. So 5 phone calls. Then you're going to send 5 text messages, because people like to be communicated with in different ways. So instead of like bulking in 25 phone calls, like let's mix it up. So 5 text messages, either straight out text messages or send some video text messages, right? Same thing.
Because we're still doing the Zoom class. Can you ask this?
Then you're going to do 5 Facebook interactions, like really good Facebook, not just liking 5 things, but jump on Facebook, because that's part of your database. Jump on Facebook, maybe send 5 direct messages to people, right?
Melissa?
Yeah.
Could you give us maybe a little snippet of what you would put in a text message if you were going to do words?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll put some of this stuff in the chat, but it would be the
Awesome.
same. It would be just around the same thing, but I'll put it in the chat. So 5 Facebook interactions, right? Jump on and really just interact with people, and like I said, not just liking them, but really looking to have some engagement with 5 people through Facebook. Then doing 5 emails, right? So send a little piece of value to 5 people. You can do more if you want, but right, we're just kind of saying 5. And then 5 handwritten notes. So choose 5 people out of that A and W if that's your D2D day. Steve, what is that? D2, D3?
D2DT.
D2DT. So same thing, pick out 5 of those people and send them a handwritten note card. Hey, just thinking of you. Put a $1 scratch in it. If it's spring, we've like sent out little packets of spring seeds, right? You can buy them in bulk. Put a little thing of seeds in there. One of our agents for the fall, they got these little packets of it was like little like garlic or something. It was really cute, and it said something like it was like vampire garlic, like vampire seasoning or something. It was really cute. So depending on the time of year, right, throw a little thing in the envelope. So there's like 25 people that you have just interacted with. You can probably get this done in an hour, and you have the ability to have a conversation with 20 to 25 people in that day. And all of a sudden, it's not like this daunting 2 hours of lead gen that we sometimes then we just kind of push it aside and we go find something else to do, right? But it's a really cool way to get it done. Oh, Christina, I love that. So Christina Logan in the chat, this is what she's using. It says, hi, I wanted to connect and say hi in the capacity of a realtor. I love that. And reach out and open up an invitation to you. If you ever have real estate questions or know somebody looking to buy or sell, I'm always available to chat. I hope you are well. I would love to catch up. Let me know of a time next week to talk. I love that, Christina. And I love the hearts. I'm a heart sender too. That is awesome. 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 Love that. And it feels good to send that, right? It just feels so, it feels, and it's so like I reading that, and I would absolutely reach out to you. Just want to catch up with you because you can tell it is right from the heart and you can tell it is super, super genuine. I love that. So any other thoughts on that? On the, if the 5 to Thrive, if you like it, I'll put in the chat exactly what it was. Use it. Absolutely use it. You know, that's the thing here, right? And this is what I love about our realtor community, and this is open up to our New England region. And one of the things I absolutely love about being a realtor is that our community of realtors are so open to sharing information and working together. It's like we always have to remember we are coworkers. There's two sides to every transaction and we have to work together. And I love it when everybody comes together and just shares and says, hey, this is what I'm using, take it and use it. And it's awesome because as we run healthy businesses, it serves our clients, right? It serves our clients and it serves our clients in our best capacity. So I love that. Anyone else? Anybody else have anything to share? Okay, so I think up next we're gonna like talk about scripts, but maybe we'll take another break. It's about 10 of 11. So maybe we'll come back at like 11:05. That way everybody can fill their water, grab a little bite to eat, do what you need to do, check your email. And then we're gonna talk about, and I hate the word scripts, but just conversations. And like what Christina just put into the chat, some could say that's a script, but really it's not, right? Like when we think of script, we think of this wah, 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 wah. This is just a conversation. So we're going to talk about some of those conversations that we can have in ways, just like what Christina put in there, that it's not scary. And really, it is really just reaching out and doing a care call to somebody or sending something of value in an email. Okay, so we will see you guys back about 11:05. And in the meantime, I'm going to type in the chat what the 5 to Thrive it was. Okay. All right. We'll see you guys in a few.
Does anybody here have any questions?
I'm sure I will. Not yet. You go to do it. Yeah, there's gonna be lots.
I've been doing this for 11 years. I still have questions.
Yes, I'm sure, which is awesome.
All right. Everybody is ready to get started. We will just go through now some conversation things. Wait for Steve to come back so he can move us to the next slide. Contact information back in the I'm glad everybody is still on the call. Sometimes like you say the word script and then everybody's like, oh, look at the time. I gotta go. No, this is good. This will be fun. Any questions before we move on? Anybody think of anything else to when we were on break that they wanted to share? Okay. All right, he's gonna get us set up there. I'm gonna also look. I don't know what they give us for. So Steve, I know there is there's the elemental script book. Is there here we go. Does everybody have a copy of the Spark script book? I'm gonna see if I can share this really quickly. I think I should be able to.
I'm gonna release the screen, hold on.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can just put it in the. Okay, I think this is it.
I don't know what you.
Just make sure. I'm gonna put the link here in the chat. So you guys, if you click on that link in the chat, it's gonna open up the script book. And if you open up the script book, so Keller Williams is always very, very proactive and always talking about the compliance for the Do Not Call Telephone Consumer Protection Act. So it usually is at the front of everything that we are doing, and every time we are talking about making phone calls is just being very careful about not violating somebody who has put themselves on the do not call list. So you can sign up to get access to that list and just to make sure that they are not on that call list before you call them. You don't want to get a violation, that they're pretty hefty fines. Also, if you are using a dialer, has anybody heard of heard of a dialer? There's like Vulcan, 7, Christina
Red X.
has, there's Mojo. Yep. Have you ever used one, Christina?
I'm using Red X. I don't actually use the dialer because it's so expensive, but I am using the company and use my phone to dial.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And does Red X, will it automatically filter out those, anybody on the do not call list for you?
They do.
Which is awesome. So that's a huge advantage of using one of those dialer systems. And just like Christina, you don't have to use the actual dialer and can dial on your phone. Yet
Yeah, it's like $100 different a month, which is a lot of money when you're a new agent.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But and then you have peace of mind that you're not violating that do not call list. Otherwise, the onus is on you to make sure that you have that information. That's awesome.
Christina, what are you paying for that service with?
Let me check and I'll type it in the comments. I do have it in my spreadsheet. I just have to go and look. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Okay, great. Yeah, so that's super important. And there was something else I was just going to say as well, and it'll come back to me. Okay, so if everybody now has the script book up, so if we just go to the very first one that says new to real estate, and a lot of these will just kind of be the same sort of information, and you can take this. So the reason, it's like we talk about scripts, and there are some benefits to working with scripts, to finding a script partner, and to practice them back and forth. And one of the reasons of doing that, like the first time you do it, you're like, oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I don't want to do that. But if you get comfortable with it, if you just kind of let go of that mindset and you get comfortable with it, what it does is eventually you're comfortable, like you're comfortable with the contents, and you remember the things that you want to stay focused on in the conversation. So that way the conversation, all of a sudden, you end up on the phone with somebody for 30 minutes and it wasn't really that productive. You caught up with somebody, and that's awesome. But yet, you were trying to get a bunch of calls done in that time frame, and you were trying to just stay on track to find out how they are, touch base with them, and then also if it is the right thing to do, to ask them how you can help them or somebody that they know. So a script just kind of keeps you on target through that conversation, to get through the conversation and hit the points you need to hit. And then also, if you're having a conversation with somebody and somebody throws an objection at you in the conversation, working with scripts and practicing scripts also gives you an idea on how to be able to answer that objection, right? Because sometimes like somebody says something and you're like, oh, I don't, and then you hang up and you're like, oh gosh, I wish I said, oh, I wish I thought of this. Like, where was that thought? It just allows you to practice that over and over again. Sometimes I know Tom, I think Tom jumped off. Tom was talking about BOLD earlier. BOLD is another of Keller Williams' signature training series that they've done. And for any Keller Williams agent who has gone through BOLD, they do this thing called the firing squad. And the first time you take BOLD, you are absolutely terrified. You have no idea about what is about to happen to you, right, Steve? But all it is we form two lines. There's like two lines of agents. And you stand across from, so one line stays, one line moves. So I find myself across from Steve, and somebody says, okay, your objection is, oh, my sister just got her real estate license, so I'm just gonna let her sell my house. And so you have 30 seconds to talk about that objection with Steve and have an answer for it. And be like, well, Steve, that's awesome. I totally understand that your sister just got her real estate license. However, maybe you also want to think about that sometimes people don't want to work with family directly because they don't want the family to be that entwined with what their finances are. And also, if something were to happen during that transaction, your family, you don't want that to ruin that family bond. So it may be worth a consideration for you to talk to another realtor as well and just get a totally objective opinion, right? That might be one objection for that. And then after the 30 seconds, that line moves and now you're in front of the next person. You switch, you get a new objection. So you're just going back and forth down this firing squad with objections, and just you walk away with some ideas on how agents, if somebody says that, like a good one is the commission, right? Well, I only want to pay a 1% set listing fee. I only want to pay 1% commission. I keep hearing about 1% commission. If somebody said that to you, and you might be like, oh, okay, I don't know really how to answer that. But yet if you'd practiced it, you then might know how to handle that objection a little bit better, right? So that is like the whole point of just role playing and script practice. And it really does help you because it's going to give you the confidence that you need to have these real estate conversations with people and be able to talk with them and talk through the things that are concerning to them and be able to have an answer for them. Does that make sense? Awesome. One of our real estate teams here, they're actually in Connecticut, they're in the Hartford or Avon, Connecticut area. She has been in business for, oh my gosh, I don't know how long, years and years and years. She's one of the top agents in Connecticut. She does role play and script practice twice every day for just 15 minutes at a pop. That's it. Like, you don't have to do this for hours. It's 15 minutes. She does it every single day. for 15 minutes, 2 times a day. Her and her script partner just get on the phone for 15 minutes and they just role play back and forth a little bit before she starts making phone calls. And she's been in the business a long time. So it's not just something for newer associates to do. We should all just be doing it all the time because it just kind of helps with your confidence and keeps those conversations flowing. Okay, so I'm gonna say about that. So, okay, so this first script, who has heard about Ford before? F-O-R-D. Great. So in a lot of these, if you're making care calls, if you just use Ford, it just reminds you of things that you should just ask about on the phone call, right? How's your family? I heard I remember you got a new job last time we talked. How's that going for you, right? Are you recreation? Did you guys go on vacation to New Hampshire this year to go look at the leaves changing? I know you guys do that every year. And then, you know, the dream. Hey, last time we talked, you were thinking of buying a vacation home here in Rhode Island. Is that something that's still on your radar, or did you back burner that for a little while? Now, for any of the new associates here on our call, getting your real estate license is a really, really great reason to reach out and talk to people and let them know that you are now in real estate. So that is, I mean, that like, this is amazing, right? So absolutely reach out to people and just let them know it's a wonderful reason to call and check in on them. And then also give the opportunity to let them know that you got your real estate license and, you know, you are here to help them with any of their real estate needs. Has anybody started doing that? Who's new to real estate? Great, Shelley. And how does it, tell us about that. How does it going? How are your calls going?
Actually, very well. You know, I do a lot of messaging, but there are a few people that I do maintain regular contact with via telephone. So I have worked both one and the other, and it's just been great. It's my first, you know, step into how are you, how's it going, and just wanted to share with you that I recently acquired my license. I've got a lot of very, very positive feedback. So now I can take the next step from there, and I know from several I can most likely get referrals. And one individual in particular, he flips houses himself. He part-time, I should say. He has a full-time job. So a lot of, like, an extensive base for potential contacts through contacts, or leads through contacts, I should say.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. And if you didn't make that phone call and they didn't know that you now had your real estate license, they just wouldn't know that, right? So
Right.
it is, so it's just, and it's great to just reach out to people and let them know what you're doing. The people that know and love us want to help us, right? They want to help us. So you're just sharing the information that you're available to help them in that capacity, and doing it every so often, just as a reminder to them. Okay, great. All right. Well, then and that brings us to the second script in the script book, was just to remind them that you're in real estate, right? So same sort of thing, right? Ford, how's your family? Or how's your occupation? What's going on? You listen, I know that you were thinking of retiring last time I talked with you. Do you still have thoughts of that? Tell me about that, right? Ask lots of questions. And now you can take the scripts that are here in this book and make them your own, right? They should sound like you. The point is, and I've heard people on the phone using, and you know that they're using a script, right? And you know, the other thing too, is that especially if you're somebody who's calling expired leads maybe, or you're calling for sale by owners, there's a lot of scripts out there around those. And especially when something expires, use the right grammar, you know, they might be getting, you know, 20 phone calls that day. And you don't want to be the 19th person who's saying the same exact thing to them in the same exact way, right? So, you know, you can take the script and you can make it your own. It should sound like it's coming from you. You want to just use it just to keep yourself focused and keep yourself on track for the points that you want to make along the way in that conversation. But the conversation should flow. And the one mistake, or the one feedback that I always sometimes want to give to those of us who are out there doing that, and we get too scripted where we follow it word for word, is sometimes you forget to listen to what they're saying to you on the other side, right? And you're just trying to get through the script. And they may have responded with something that really needed to take you off in a slightly different direction, given what they said to you. So don't forget that you also have to listen and you have to actively engage in that conversation and let it go a little bit where it wants to go, while making sure that you're hitting the points that you want to hit and staying a little bit focused. Does that make sense? Absolutely. And you could you're going to do that just by practicing. And you're going to find sometimes like, oh, you know what? I'm really not getting anything from saying things this way. You know what? I'm going to maybe say it in this way instead. So I'm going to maybe try this. I'm going to add this into my script and maybe bring this up and see if that helps. So, this is something that you're going to develop over time, and definitely find somebody in your office or find somebody here, connect with somebody on this call, and just say, hey, you know what? Or in the Facebook group, hopefully all of you are in the Ignite Facebook group, put a little message in there and say, hey, I'm looking for a script partner. Do you want to be a script partner for me? There's tons of agents who would absolutely love to do that.
Another benefit to this script is you can verify their cell phone number and their home address. So if you don't have that information, offer to send them via text your cell phone app, which is great because now you have their cell phone number. And if you're talking about real estate with them, you can let them know that, hey, I have this great little report that will give you all the real estate facts and figures about your neighborhood. Would you like to see that? Of course, everyone wants free stuff. They'll most likely say yes. Let me just have your home address and I'll send you the report. Just put their home address in, generate the report and email it to them. So now you've got their cell phone number and their home address to add to the database.
Awesome.
Without having to go to the tax record and hope you're pulling up the right George Smith.
Or whitepages.com. And so also in this, and so this little script book is great because they also have, they have in here like what to ask if you're somebody gave you a referral and you're calling a referral. And also if you're calling personal and professional service industries. That's a great source of referrals for you if you can connect, with some professionals in your area, whether they're landscapers, whether, it's an attorney, right? If you kind of form a business relationship, it is a great way for them to keep you in mind as somebody who enters into their world. Like I've heard, sometimes a landscaper will give you a ring if you're close to a landscaper and say, Hey, Steve, I just want to let you know, I was like cutting one of my clients' lawns and I heard them talking and I think they're thinking of selling the house or they're getting ready to put the house on the market. Right. And that's just a great, awesome, or sometimes that professional will go one step further and say, hey, listen, I know this great agent, his name's Steve. You really should talk with him. He's amazing. Can I give you his information or can I have him call you? So just getting to know some of those professionals out there and also referring business to them, right? It's a two-way street. So they would also be happy to be in partnership with you if they know that, hey, you know what, in this town, this is where I do all my landscaping, that, if you sell a home to somebody, I would love to be able to service them and talk to them about how I can maintain their property for them. So it's a great relationship to start forming. And as part of your prospecting and your lead generation activities, put some time aside to maybe go and pop into a few different places and give them your business card and say, hey, listen, I'd love to just buy you a cup of coffee and sit down and talk with you a little bit. I'm an agent in, North Kingstown, Rhode Island, and I would love to learn more about your business and maybe how we can become referral partners for each other. Right? There's like that. There's some power in that. And so this script here tells you exactly what to say. Of course, make it your own, but tells you a little bit of what you should say on that phone call, right? And then set up that appointment. And then down on page 10, who here has thought of door knocking or maybe has done any door knocking? Anybody? I can't see all of you guys right now.
So there's a house that went for sale in my neighborhood since I've gotten my license. I've been an agent for 4 months now and it bothered me tons. So I bought door hangers and I've purchased them, including a Halloween one, but I just didn't delegate it yet. So I do have 4 door hangers for the course of the next year, so I can do it
Awesome.
quarterly. One around fall for the seeds, like you mentioned, Halloween, New Year's. I thought I would do sparklers, and I don't know, one more.
I love it.
So I have them. I just have to do them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just life got the best of me for how I literally got them like 2 days before Halloween. I was like, I'm gonna do them, but I didn't. But I will.
Yep, that's awesome. No, I love that. I love that. When I had this great little, I always love like little tips and tricks that people tell me along the way. And like I said, we're a sharing community. So I have this is like gold to me. So like for a lot of us, right, door knocking can be just a little intimidating, right? I mean, sometimes you think of yourself in your house and somebody that you don't know comes and knocks on your door and you're kind of like, oh, should I answer it? Should I pretend like nobody say a word, nobody move? I'm just gonna wait and see if they come away, right? But so this was a tip that somebody told me, and I think it is brilliant. If you are going to door knock in a given neighborhood, and even if it's your own neighborhood, you might want to do this. And if there's some people out there who they don't care, they will walk up to that door and they will knock on it, and that is awesome. And if that is like, that's you, go for it. That's beautiful. If you're a little intimidated, pull your car into their driveway. This is what they said to me. Pull the car into the driveway, leave it running, get out of your car and leave your door open. Don't shut your door. And then walk up to the front, knock on the door. Now, when that person looks out their window, they're going to see your car in their drive. They're going to see there is a car in the driveway, and they're also going to see that the car is still running and that your door is open. So obviously you are not staying. You are just there for something quick. You do not intend to stay. They will then open the door and you can say, hey, Steve, my name's Christina, and I'm a real estate agent. Listen, I just wanted to drop this off to you. Listen, I can't really stay, but I really want to introduce myself to you. I wanted to drop some information on what's going on in our neighborhood, if it's your neighborhood or in your neighborhood. I would love for you to look through it. If you have any questions at all, I would love the opportunity to answer those questions for you. And then you can hand them. And if they're not home, then hang it on their door. But at least you've met with them and they're going to be a little bit more inclined to open the door because they know that you're not trying to, stick around for dinner, so to speak. And then just pull your car out and pull into and just go right into the next driveway, right? Because chances are people, I know if somebody comes and knocks on I'm not looking to see where they go next. So, and then just pull out and pull into the next one, pull out, pull into the next one. But it's a great way for even the intimidation factor, maybe on their side where they might be leery to open the door, for you to be able to do that and have that conversation with them. So I just love that. I thought I would pass that along. Anybody have any success on door knocking yet so far? Steve, do you ever door knock?
Yes, I have. I like to do it in the fall because people are usually out in the yards then.
Good. Yeah, that's good too.
And, I usually go to the dollar store because they've got cheap stuff. And I look for kitchen stuff like jar openers, those little rubber discs. They cost about 10 cents a piece, but
Yeah.
no one ever has them anymore. And just, I'll print up a neighborhood report and just go knocking on doors. And if I know that people have, a dog, I'll bring some dog bones with me. Just to say hello and I'm here and, here's a little gift. And, it takes a little while to build that comfort level with the people, but after a while, they know who you are.
Yeah.
And they'll see you walking around and they won't throw rocks at you. They'll actually say hello.
Nice. Excellent.
Well, yeah, again, and consistency is the key for sure. And yeah, absolutely. And getting comfortable doing that. Yeah, people have great success with it. It's not something that that's not something that I've ever done in my business personally. However, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to follow you the next time you left the car running in the driveway and take the Tesla for a ride. Exactly.
Exactly. But people, that's just like sometimes their main way that they do lead generation, they absolutely swear by it. And that's the thing about, finding new clients and lead gen, right? There's so many ways to get there. Find what you like to do, and be consistent with it, and just be consistent with it. I can remember my very first real estate coach, who was through Tom Ferry. And I remember on our very first call, she said to me, how do you like to lead generate? What are you comfortable doing? Do you like to make phone calls? Do you like to send text messages? Do you like to write handwritten notes? Take the things you like to do and do them all the time. And that is going to bring you success. So, and I always took that advice, and I share that advice often, because sometimes there's so many things that get thrown at us, and you should be doing this, and you should be doing this, and you should be doing this. And by all means, you should explore other options, because it will open your mind to things. Yet you should also be true to yourself and make sure that you are doing things that make you happy, right? You should be doing, you want to get up and go to I will not call this a job, because it's not. You want to get up every day and do what we do and love what you do. And part of that, though, is we're business owners. We have to build our business every day. So find the things you like to do in that, and then just be really, really good, be a rock star at it, and do it well, and do it with a heart. And you're going to be successful. You will be successful in this business.
Yeah, that's great, Rhonda. That was really great advice. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so and then there's some social media messages in here too, in this script book as well. That there are 4 options that you can send. Okay, so, and then definitely try the video ones, right? They're actually, I think they're fun. Sometimes, I'll think of doing one really early in the morning, and I'm like, no, I probably should get dressed first. Probably should maybe do my hair or something. I probably now is not the right time for that Facebook Live. And then the last part of this just talks about our branded search app. Most companies do have search apps for their agents to use. So if you do have that app where your clients can search in your app, so that way the properties go directly to you, any inquiries go directly to you, definitely take advantage of that and send that out. That way your clients are not looking on the Zillow app or even the Realtor.com app, because sometimes they start clicking buttons, and then sometimes that's how their request for them to look at a property ends up going to a different agent that they didn't intend when they really want to work with you. So by all means, if you have an app that's available to you, and I think even the new MLS mobile, has anybody downloaded the new MLS mobile app? There is the MLS mobile this is for Rhode Island. That one actually has you can share that app, and it will have your contact information in it, I believe, if you share that out. So take a look at that if where you are doesn't offer you your own branded app. Okay. All right, Steve, what's next on our agenda? It's just about 11:35.
I think we're pretty much wrapping it up here.
Okay, so does anybody I would love to hear from some of you, just your thoughts on today, what you felt about the content, any questions I didn't answer for you that we can talk about a little bit more. Shelley?
I just want to say thank you for the video idea via text.
Oh, sure.
I love that, and I am definitely going to try it.
You can't take yourself too serious, don't take yourself too seriously, right? Because sometimes we're just like, oh my God, I'll tell you, Facebook Live, if you have ever done if you're doing an open house next time, jump on Facebook Live when you get there. And just be like, hey, everyone, it's Rhonda. I'm with Keller Williams. I'm at 123 Main Street today. I'm holding an open house for the next 2 hours. I'll be here till noon today. Come on down. Take a look at this house. I might move the camera around. It's a beautiful day. Look at the gorgeous front porch. If you're around, stop by. I'd love to see you. Come say hi to me. That's all you have to do. If you throw yourself on Facebook Live, even just a couple of times, because Facebook Live, it's live. So you can't, there's no do-over. And by the third or fourth time, you are going to be comfortable on video because you're just going to have to be, and you're going to realize that you're not going to die by doing a video of yourself. And then if you're going to do video text messages, you are much more forgiving of yourself and will do them in one take versus sending out, why don't you send out a video text message to somebody and it took you 4 hours to do one because you're like, nope, I'm going to go back and do that again. I'm going to go back. You'll get to the point where you'll just do it and send it because they know what you look like. They know what you sound like. And you are just perfect the way you are. We are all perfect the way we are. So if it's coming from your heart, just like throw it out there and go for it. If that's something that sounds like it appeals to you. That's my thought on that. Oh yeah. So Tony, Steve, can you share the color coded tag spreadsheet with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Throw that in there. Any other thoughts? Ahas? So what are you guys talking about tomorrow? So tomorrow's session.
Letting everything know where I am by myself. That's where I get nervous with the Facebook Live stuff.
Okay, so tomorrow is going to be on goal setting. It's going to be set goals that matter is the topic for tomorrow. Just remember that these are all recorded. If you want to get on, if you want to see any of the recordings, they're in the YouTube channel. Great, there's the tags in the chat. And let me get the YouTube channel here. In there. So if you miss any of these, you want to go back and watch them, you can jump right on the New England region YouTube channel. Here we go.
KWNE, YouTube/KWNE.
Oh, there's a short URL for it.
This
is the long one. This is the long one I just found. So you can also bookmark that. So those are all on there as well. And definitely jump in the Facebook group and interact in there. If you are looking for a script partner, throw it out there. There's some great agents in there that would love to interact. And so any other questions, any other thoughts for today? Get you guys out of here a few minutes. Okay, well, I appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for spending the last 3 hours with us. I hope that you guys found some good tidbits today. I threw my contact information back in there, Steve, if you want. Oh, Steve did as well. We are here for you. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we thank you. We know that your time is valuable and absolutely appreciate all of you for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.
But I mean, obviously, everyone about was fine. Or have a fellow agent.
Rhonda, I'll see you tomorrow. Are we meeting
Okay.
tomorrow? Cancel.
What? Meeting?
The leadership meeting, has that been canceled for tomorrow?
Our huddle?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, I thought I got something last night that said it was canceled.
Oh, you know what? I think it was a duplicate. I think that Erica had a duplicate entry in the calendar. So yeah, I think she was trying to just clean it up.
All right.
Okay. All right. Ciao, guys.
You know what I was listening to that the podcast. Two broker girls, like two women that are in the Midwest and whatever, they military and leasing and stuff, and they said they actually. And I was like, oh, probably think about the army, but right, yeah. And to your safety course, and they were telling us like you can, always have somebody like know exactly where you are, even have a like certain code like that you can text or whatever, or if 5
just be like, oh, you know,
Well,
if
that-
there's an odd person around.
That's why
Yeah.
you never meet a client for the first time at a house.
Right, yes, we do.
Have them meet you in the office, have them meet you at a coffee shop,
Yeah.
someplace where there are people. If they're really adamant that they, it's, if they're really adamant about it and you really want to see them, take somebody with you.
Yeah.
There's always someone that will go with you. If you're doing an open house, invite another agent to help out. Invite a mortgage broker,
That's what we were
set up
just talking
shop.
about, yeah.
They're generating business just like you are. It's when you're showing someone a house, let them go up and down the stairs first. Don't let them get behind you, you stay behind them. I think there's a lot of wackos out there. I don't want to steer you from showing houses, but take precautions. Do not carry a taser. That's illegal.
Okay.
Pepper spray is good.
Pepper spray is good. Having someone else with you is good. A lot of the cell phones now, you can put that little, what you were saying, you can, forget what they call the program, but like you have to hit a button like every 2 minutes or something. So when you have to carry a cell phone in every 2 minutes, hit that button. Otherwise, it sends an alarm off.
Interesting. There's no, I mean, what I was listening to on this podcast, these two women, and they said that, there was one point that she was like cleaning up afterwards, and that very similar to your situation. And then somebody showed up to the house and she was feeling very uncomfortable. So when she decided to, she was like, the point is just get out of the house.
Yeah.
Like get out and like, like I gotta go, or like be like, I gotta go and see you later. I'm really sorry, there's an emergency or something like that. But like,
And that's the thing, no,
if you
that's the
can.
thing, so that's the thing, because I did do the safety thing with the gentleman that does it all the time. And he was saying, don't worry about the house, get yourself out.
Yeah.
You can always go to your car and call the cops and be like, look, I was just doing an open house, there was this weird guy or whatever, or girl, you never know. And I left the house unlocked and I don't know if he's still in there, but I had to get out. You're covering your bases, but you're still alive. You know what I mean? So don't ever just feel like, oh my God, I just left this house and this person, get out, call whoever you need to call, and then do what you need to do. But you're not stuck in this house with this weird person. And so what? You left the house unlocked. You know what I mean? You'll make it up to the owners. We'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
That's why they
I
have
should
insurance.
understand.
Exactly.
Mine happened
You
with
know
her
what I
really
mean?
well, the guy came out. So I was just telling them about my open house. He came after the open house. He just saw the sign. He happened to drive by. I was all alone. I was cleaning up. I didn't think to lock the door. And I didn't think to take my sign. Take your sign until my house is over. You go out, people are, milling about outside. Grab your sign, lock the door. But anyway, he came in and he ended up saying, you know what, my wife and I still want to list our house. We're not working with an agent, and our son wants to buy a condo, so I'm meeting with his son. So it actually led to other business. He didn't kill me. He was normal, and it led to other business.
Hallelujah.
It was a plus
Glad to
side.
see you here. Oh.
But it's true. That just came up because she was saying, oh, make the Facebook Live and let everybody know you're there. And I was like, I don't know about making a Facebook
Right,
Live
if
because
you're
you
not
let
by
everybody know
yourself.
you're by yourself.
Yeah.
I am here.
Let me tell you, there is no reason to be doing an open house alone.
Yeah, now I learned that.
I mean, I always invite 1 or 2 new agents to come along with me.
But if you're a new agent, you don't really want another agent because you're really wanting to get the
Well,
extra
you just
business
tell
from
them
the
to, like,
mortguage
look, I'm gonna
person
get the
might
lead,
be
but
better, maybe, right? I
Yeah.
guess for us.
Or
we're so
a
new.
spouse, or,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
spouse.
Yeah, is it strange to have like your spouse like floating around?
no,
Or do you have them
No.
like pull up a chair and be like, just sit there? Or just float?
You have them just stay in the driveway,
he's doing
whatever, and then you're gonna,
someone walking in the house is gonna see someone else walking around and not think anything of it.
Right, right.
It's not, I mean, it can even be, it doesn't have to be a guy, it can be a woman.
Yeah,
It's
Right,
just,
exactly.
if there's 2 people,
right. And someone would probably think that's just another agent. They probably wouldn't think anything of it. If it was your husband.
I did one that was out in. And I just wanted to see what they do, because I've been to open houses, but I never, did one myself.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, and I was like, thank God I was here, because the house was big, the property was big, and there were people like up and down the stairs, a lot of people. I was like, she wouldn't have been able to do this by herself. There was no way. That was just let everybody just float around the house all over the place. Yeah.
And then you
I
have
was
to
just
check the
there
house
just to
before
be
you
there.
leave. Think about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Holy crap, there could be someone in the basement.
Right.
I better go look in the basement right
By
now
yourself,
and check
yeah.
to see if anybody, I'm like, I'll never do this again.
Yeah, I had a listing in Richmond, just closed on it 2 weeks ago, but we did 2 open houses and I just dragged 2 other agents with me.
Yeah.
And, they're both brand new and they were excited and,
Yeah.
the deal, when I do that, the deal I give them is if someone comes in the house unescorted, they're yours.
Yeah.
And if they're with an agent, just be nice, but you can't go after them.
Right.
And it works out well all the time. I've not been attacked.
Right. Right. There's power in numbers.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna attack you. I don't think you have a problem.
I'm usually, actually, it's funny, because I'm usually at an open house. Those Toll House cookies that come in the big square and you break the piece off.
Yes, that's what I was trying to.
But that's what I do. I
didn't have.
put 3 in the oven, so, and take them out and then put 3 more. And so there's always that fresh smell of fresh baked cookies.
I'm glad you do that too. I thought I was a dork because I was new. And I was like, I'm doing it anyway. I don't care if I'm a dork.
Just don't eat all the cookies.
No, that's the problem. No, I had somebody.
No, these are not for you. They're all for
Yeah.
me.
And told me I should never bake cookies. I should never serve, because I serve hot apple cider and fresh baked cookies. She said, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Like, she schooled me. And I'm like, oh, I think. She said, what if someone gets sick? And then they're gonna blame you. She was there. She was hilarious. She was an older woman. I'm gonna be 35 years.
I bring water bottles.
Everything should be.
Yeah,
And I get
the
little small ones.
That's all right.
The little
I
water
put it
bottles.
all there. There you go. Was
Can't
she
go wrong with water.
overboard? Do you think she was a
No,
little
I agree.
Yeah,
overboard?
she was going over.
A little overboard, okay.
Because it-
Maybe
because-
you might be something happened to her. She's
You never
like.
know.
Because-
No, it
something
must have been.
Yeah.
It must, something must
Because
have happened.
if someone calls you the and says, I ate one of your cookies
Yeah.
and I got sick, it's like, those were props. Those weren't supposed to be eaten.
I told you not to eat it.
Did I force you? to eat
Right,
it?
did I force
you?
you?
They were just out for show.
No,
That was a little much.
Yes.
She was, like a grandma, type realtor. She was older and really kind of
Oh,
retired.
it wasn't Carol Machino, was it?
No, yeah, I think it was Donna. She was with Randall, her husband, it's Martini, Donna Martini. Okay. So she said, oh, basically I'm retired, I'm just kind of helping my husband. No, at this point, she was just like, you need mace, don't serve cookies. Oh, so funny.
Water's always good. You can't go
Oh,
wrong with water.
yeah, I did have water, too, but I had, I thought that was such a good little.
Anyway, bye, everybody. Okay, so I just have a quick question. They just asked for like my bio, which is fine. I can do that. And headshot.
I'm not saying you should do that, but honestly.
And they're like, within 48 hours, I'm like, oh my God, wait.
Go outside and I take a nice, I have somebody using her husband, that's my husband, just click a picture, like this is for the iPhone. Like, it's fine.
That's great.
Let me see what you got.
That's great.
I'm gonna get, mine are
Right,
coming
don't
in,
you
mine are
think-
coming in this week.
Oh, yeah,
That's
it's great.
really nice.
Fine.
Yeah.
So just.
Is that like a
Yeah.
card holder?
Where did you get that? I don't know, I kind of.
Right.
And, you know.
You're supposed to be coming here this week.
Because.
Right now.
Steve, I definitely want to sit down with you and figure out
That
how to
was
do
my
my Facebook stuff.
Yes.
I went
No,
on
I
last
like it.
night and I was in.
All right, bye, everybody. Bye, Steve. Thank you.
Bye. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, I'll see you guys on Monday. Tomorrow, I've got parent teacher conference.
Oh.
Bye, Steve. I'll see you soon, hopefully.
Yep.
Bye,
Yeah,
guys.
I want to definitely sit down.
And then
with you.
I know you said you do